the builder of the Great Pyramid. In Persia, there dwelt a great king called Luthag, a man of wisdom and kingly power. His capital city had 12 tributary cities, each city being ruled over by a king. And great drought came upon the regions ruled by Luthag, and, being a king of benevolence, he sent inspectors far and near to find a country of water and good soil. But alas, they found not what was desired. So the king sent for his high seer, and he travelled into the land at that time of South Arabia. The seer knew not the country, so he consulted his spirits, who led him to a land that to this day is called Egypt. The seer found the land fertile and well watered, and he returned to Persia and informed the king. Thereupon the king commanded his people to migrate to Egypt, and they so went. In the first year migrated 50,000, and in the second year 100,000, and for many years afterward an equal number. And in the space of 200 years more, behold, the land of Egypt was peopled over with millions of people, for the drought and famines in countries around about drove them hither. King Luthag sent his son to govern the land of Egypt, and he made it tributary to the kingdom of Luthag. The son ruled wisely, and when he was old and died, he left the governorship of Egypt to his son, who eventually broke the allegiance with Persia and established all of Egypt as an independent kingdom. His son succeeded him, and he enriched his kingdom with great cities and temples and places of learning, and founded games and tournaments. His daughter succeeded him, and was the first queen of Egypt. She still further enriched the great land with cities and places of learning. Thus stood the country at the time the false god Deus was overthrown in his heavenly kingdom. And now, for 70 years, the false gods, Osiris, Baal, Ashtaroth, and Egypt, had not much power with mortals. And during this short period, the shepherd kings migrated into Egypt in vast numbers. And, in sympathy with these and of kindred faith, were the followers of Abraham, the people of faith, who also migrated rapidly into Egypt. Meantime, the kingdom had passed from the queen to her oldest son, and then to his oldest son, and then to his oldest son, and to then his oldest son, who was called Luthag. And here stood the matter, when the false god Osiris resolved to revise the records of mortals and angels as regards the history of creation by God, which he did according to his own decrees. So it happened that through the oracles, which were controlled by the low angels of the false god Osiris, King Luthag bestowed upon the libraries of Egypt the history of the creation of heaven and earth, with the origin of sin and the creation of man. The first of whom was thence after called Adam, instead of Asu, adopting the Persian word instead of the Vedic. And these records were the same from which the scribe named Ezra, 3,000 years afterward, made selections which would become the basis of the Old Testament of the Bible, and erroneously attributed them to be the doctrines of the Israelites. However, the records of the Israelites were not kept, nor permitted in the state records, but kept amongst the Israelites themselves. For they were outlawed then, even as they are to this day, because they would not adopt the saviours and gods of the king and the state. Luthag's son, Hiram, succeeded him, and Tammuz, his son, succeeded Hiram. Tammuz was a seer and prophet, and could see the gods and talk with them understandingly. Tammuz was succeeded by his daughter Hannah, and she was succeeded by Hojax, who was a builder of the temple of Osiris, commonly called the Great Pyramid. In honour of the prophet of Deus, the first mortal servant of Osiris, whose name was Thoth, Hojax renamed himself Thothma, which is to say, God Thoth. For Osiris falsely told Hojax, "You are the very Thoth reincarnated, and behold, you shall be God of the earth." Thothma could hear spirits and talk with them understandingly, and to him Osiris, through his angel servants, gave especial care from his youth up. At the age of 16 years, Thothma passed the examination in the House of Philosophy and in astronomy and mineralogy. At 17, he passed the Builder's School and the Histories of the Thousand Gods. At 18, he was admitted as an adept in life and death, having power to attain the dormant state, and to see without his mortal eyes, and to hear without his mortal ears. At 19, he ascended the throne, it being the time of the death of his father and mother. For because Osiris desired to use Thothma, he sent his destroying angels, and they inoculated the breath of Hannah and her husband, and they died by poison in the lungs. Osiris, through his angel servants, thus spoke to Thothma, saying, My son, my son! Thothma said, I hear you, O God, what would you? Osiris said, Provide you a dark chamber, and I will come to you. Thothma provided a dark chamber, and then Osiris, through his servant God, came to him, saying, You have great wisdom, but you forget your promise. Thothma said, In what, O God? Osiris said, When you were in heaven, you said, Now will I go down to the earth and reincarnate myself, and prove everlasting life in the flesh. For many years Osiris had told this same thing to Thothma, until he believed faithfully he had so been in heaven, and returned and reincarnated himself for such purpose. And he answered Osiris, saying, Like a dream it so seemed to me, even as you say. Osiris asked Thothma, What was the greatest, best of all things? Thothma said, There are but two things, corporeal and spiritual. Osiris said, True, what then is wisdom? Thothma said, To acquire great corporeal knowledge in the first place, and in the second to acquire spiritual knowledge. But tell me, you God of wisdom, how can a man attain the highest spiritual knowledge? Osiris said, To come and live in heaven and see for oneself. Thothma said, How long shall a man sojourn in heaven in order to learn its wisdom? Osiris said, 1 day, 100 days, 1,000 years, 1,000,000 years, according to the man. Thothma said, If one could leave the corporeal part for 100 days and travel in heaven for 100 days, would it profit him? Osiris said, To do that is to master death. Behold, you have already attained to power of the dormant state, to control the course of the spirit. That is the next lesson. Thothma said, Behold, O God, I have attained to the power of the dormant state, even as the magicians who submit to be buried for 90 days. Yes, and I go hence in spirit and see many things, but my soul is like a breath of wind and goes at random. Osiris said, Provide you me a temple and I will come and teach you. Thothma said, How to keep the body so long that it be not damaged, that is a question. The magicians who have been buried long and being dug up and resuscitated find their bodies so damaged that they die soon after. Osiris said, You shall build a temple of astronomy and dedicate it to Osiris, saviour of men and angels, God of heaven and earth. And it shall be built square with the world, east and west and north and south, and the observing line shall be with the apex of the hidden vortex, which lies in the median line of the variation of the North Star. In the form of a pyramid shall you build it. Measure for measure will I show you every part, and you shall provide such thickness of walls that no sound, nor heat, nor cold can enter therein, and yet you shall provide chambers within, suitable for thyself and for your chiefs and your friends, who are also adepts. For I have also provided the earth to heaven and heaven to the earth. And my angels shall come and live for a season on the earth, and my earthborn shall go and live for a season in heaven. Yes, they shall come to me on my throne and behold the glories I have prepared for them. Nor shall my temple be exclusive, but open to all who will pursue the philosophies of earth and heaven. For which reason you shall build it with the sun, moon, and stars, and it shall be a testimony to the nations of the earth, that you are the highest of all mortals, and first founder of everlasting life in the flesh. For as the angels of heaven can return to the earth and take upon themselves corporeal bodies for a season, so shall you master your own flesh to keep it as you will. For this is the end and the glory for which I created man on earth.